Could there be a toxic side to the beautiful Filipino trait called humility? So ano ba what is humility sa Tagalog? When we say somebody is humble, mababang-loob, hindi mataas, basically not proud, not arrogant, not boastful. Um, Tell you a little bit how maybe I'm sure there's many reasons why we raise children who are humble. One of which is because in any culture, whatever is rewarded, that's what we reinforce. So if there are children who are mababang loob, they're not arrogant, we say simple lang, hindi mayabang, or hindi mahangin, we say. Sometimes, I'm not sure if we still use this in the islands now, but sometimes we say cowboy lang, you know, and we have this imagery of a cowboy where they don't have to be in the palace, like they could work with any type of environment. So hindi mayabang. And when children and adults exude that type of trait, we like them. And the opposite is true. And you might have a mayabang or, not humble friend. And usually we hang with them because for the most part, Filipinos are very inclusive. They want to include other people. But then when they leave. Usually, ay, yabang-yabang na, we might say, oh, wow, ang hangin, ang lakas ng hangin. If you're not familiar with that, we use hangin as like energy, the thing, as we would say. So, what's beautiful about the Filipino humility? And I share here in this YouTube channel as an art of expression in a way that I hope the message would also be helpful to you. So, just know I'm also growing as I am expressing. Um, why that is so beautiful is because in the Filipino culture, of course, anything is general. You might say, Nako, Rowan, there's so many mayabang in the Philippines. Of course, there is always an exception. I'm talking about just the general. Um, is that Filipinos are very considerate. And because we are a very collectivistic culture, we know this in research. Erin Mayer, she wrote the book Culture, I believe it's Culture Map, and you could correct me in the comments, in which she had thousands of samples and then comparing different countries. And indeed, when you compare, for instance, America versus the Philippines, and there's some 5 or 6 variables that she used there. Philippines is like right here when it comes to being collectivistic, and America's right here because it's a very individualistic culture, which makes sense why we have in at least in the Western world a lot of tension in the multi-generation Filipino homes. But going back to humility, Filipinos are very considerate because we are taught to look around first. Okay, that's one. I'm looking at and we're also taught not to be full of ourselves, and that might come from our spiritual backing, whether it's Catholic, Christian, or even pre-colonial times. People that are one with nature, which we were, hopefully we still are. Um, we know that we're not meant to live in an island, and our indigenous practice even before science. We knew a lot of science is to appease the gods, if you will. So we would have a harvest dance, and some of our indigenous tribes in the Philippines still would do this. But we understand that we are connected to some source, whether that's the divine, the God for you, however you call your God, or just nature. There's a connection there, and humility, knowing that there's your respect. Okay. So that's the second part. So being considerate, not being full of yourself, and the other one is really, as I mentioned, that we could not live on our own, and that whatever you accomplish, you actually accomplish that, knowing that you accomplished that. They say stepping on somebody's shoulders, and that you are part of a lineage, that behind you are the generation that came before you. So that's the beautiful thing about the cultural practice of humility and the Filipino culture. What may be a toxic or shadow side is that when we're always looking around, we might also lose our voice because we're always just mababang-loob, so and we might misunderstand that just to uh, be within the circle, very collectivistic, that we're not supposed to speak up or not rock the boat. I think that could possibly a shadow side in which we might lose our voice. I want to give you a different option that you could learn to still use your voice, but in a loving, the most loving way. We are all part of an ecosystem. So honestly, what is not good for you is not good for the other. So even if you are doing something that maybe you don't feel like that's for you, your heart's into it, you're just afraid that you might hurt another person, but it's eating you up inside. I want to suggest to you that eventually, whatever that may be, is also not going to be the best for the other person because we're an ecosystem. And so everything really flourishes from our inside, our internal compass, if you will. So thank you so much for hanging out. Please visit calamansijuice.com. I have 80 something writings over there. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope this served you well. This is Roanne Samuels, licensed psychotherapist in California. Ingat po.